Hey everyone, welcome back to Jaybirdresin Art. My name's Tara, and today we are going to make a mold. So I've got a new jar, like that one that I showed you before that had the butterfly on top that had the line across it, and it wasn't very good for making a mold. Well, I got a new one, and this one is bigger and it's really cute. It's wider, and it's got this little handle on top here. So there's that part, and here's the bottom. The paint job is not great, but that's not gonna matter. But yeah, I think it's gonna do good. The only thing that I am concerned is the bottom has like these lines going through it, and it's kind of concave, like it's higher here than it is here. So I'm wondering, am I going to have a problem with the silicone going all the way up underneath of it and attaching? I don't know. I might be able to come up with an idea to maybe cover some of this part, to maybe where the silicone won't go as far. But yeah, we're going to have to figure that out. So I've never done a mold with like the little handle on top. So I do know that there's going to be quite a bit of silicone that's going to make it really thick, and which makes it harder. So it may be hard to demold. I'm not sure. So let's see. So the first step that I normally do is I find a bowl that is gonna fit the item I'm molding pretty tightly so that you don't waste too much silicone, right? So this one, there's not a whole lot of space around it, but it's a good enough space where you know, the walls will be thick but not too thick, and not gonna waste too much silicone. So then I'm going to, oh, well, first of all, the bottom of this bowl is higher in the middle than the rest, right? So I need it to be flat. It's not going to work out very well if it's not flat. So what I do is I take some polyurethane resin and I pour it in the bottom to raise up to where it's level all the way across. And it won't stick to the bowl. It will pop out, and then you have like a lid for your mold to keep the dust out. So that's what we're going to do first. I'm going to go get some polyurethane resin, and I'll be right back. Okay, so I measured out even amounts of A and B of the polyurethane. Probably got, I don't know, 1.5 ounces or so of each. And I'm just going to pour them in this cup and then mix and dump it in there. I always mark the bottoms of my cups that I measure the polyurethane in case I need to mix a little bit more. But hopefully this should be enough. I don't know. We'll see. This stuff you have to work really fast because it cures really quickly. But I always like to keep it in my craft room for stuff like this. I'm only going to mix it for about 30 seconds. Okay, and I can feel it warming up in my hands. So I'm going to try to fill it up evenly. I'm kind of just trying to pay attention to how far I'm going up, so I know that it's going to be in a level area. I'm going to have to mix up more, definitely. That should be good. And that's not enough to fill that up. So So just go ahead and pour that in there. I don't want it to be too high, and then I don't have enough room to make my mold though. So let me just dump this in something real quick before it cures up on me. I don't know. How much is that? Well, I don't know. Let's just dump it in this little, well, yeah, let's just dump it in this little skull. Something I got close to me and watch is going to be too much. No, actually, it's not. There's a good, perfect amount. So, now I'm going to have to mix up enough. So that was about the right amount for that. Well, a little less. So I'm going to go ahead and mix up a little bit more and then pour it in there, and we'll be back to do the next one, the next step. Okay, so these are all cured and cooled down. I did go and cut out a circle. This is transfer tape. A little bit smaller than the bottom of this. I'm going to try and stick it down on here, and in hopes of keeping that silicone from going all the way up underneath of it. I don't know if that's going to work. I've done this before on the last mold, but the way this one is, like I said, it's lower here than there and has these lines in it. Where'd it go? I'm not sure, but I'm going to see if it will lay down properly. Actually, you know what? Should I do that first? Well, I'll be able to clean that real good with that on there. I don't know. Okay, let's just see if it works first. Because I do need to put some gloves on and clean the fingerprints and everything off of this really, really good. And if it doesn't work, let's just see if it works first. How do I get this off of here? Okay. And try to center it where it's kind of evenly all the way around. As even as I can get it, at least. Trying to get it to go down in those little crevices. This may not work. Trying to get it all the way down in there. I don't want to have any big air bubbles because I don't want air bubbles to be coming out of here while the silicone is in there curing, because it could cause bubbles in the silicone, and that would be a problem. Let's see if it's I really don't want to have to do this again if something messes up. I don't know. It might be okay. It looks like it's sticking down. But like I said, when the silicone goes in, it could make that lift and then release air pockets. And if I have to do it again, I guess I have to do it again. But I really just, I don't want to take the chance of the silicone going on in here and then I have to cut all this off and then it'd be a really ugly line if it gets real thick down here. I have to, anyway. All right, so now what I need to do is I also want to do, I cut another piece here. I need to put another piece here like this, trim around where that lip right there is, and I only want this transfer tape to be right here on this rim so that the silicone doesn't go in and fill all this up. Let's see. I mean, it might, maybe I'm overdoing it. I know I did this on the last one. I don't know if it made a big difference or not. I think it did though. But like I said, also, if this comes off, it could get an air bubble to come up because I had that happen on the last lid. That's why I had to remake it again. So, but I'm, so I wanted to, well, anyway, I need to go get some gloves on and we're going to get this all cleaned up. So I'll be right back. Okay, so I got my gloves on. I've taken some isopropyl alcohol and a soft microfiber cloth and wipe down all areas of both the lid and this bottom piece. Make sure I'm getting in all the creases. You don't want to have any fingerprints anywhere in your mold because of course that will come out, or anywhere on your thing you're molding, because you will see it in your casting. So make sure you put your gloves on, clean your hands or clean your item really, really good. Okay, so this is what I was going to do. So I put a piece of transfer tape on here and then smushed it down really, really good to get a really good tight seal. And then I was cutting here really close to that rim, right? And I did this on the other one, but there is a risk in doing this, and I'll show you. Okay, so I was just trying to get real, I was trying to make sure there was no silicone going to get in here, and then if you get a really good tight or a really good cut line around here, it will make for a better cut line on your mold. The only risk with this is if this comes away, there's obviously air trapped underneath of here. And when the silicone cures, it could push an air bubble up. And see, this is what happened on the mold that I made on the last one. An air bubble came up underneath here and come through here and made this air pocket. And then it cured so much so I made a bubble. So it been unlevel and it made this where there's like a hole right here and right here. So I'm kind of weighing the risk here. This one is a lot bigger and heavier than the other one. And even on that other one, I noticed there was minimal silicone that came over here. So I'm afraid of getting that air bubble and then wasting this entire mold. So I don't think I'm going to do it on this one. There's risk with both of them, I guess. Both techniques. So weigh your options. What you think is better for you and the mold that you're doing. But I did want to go ahead and show you that. I just don't want that potential air bubble. With it being heavier, I think maybe it will stay down better. And maybe the silicone won't go underneath there too much. Might have an ugly cut line. I don't know yet. We'll see. So basically, I'm just going to stick it in there. And I'm not going to fill it all the way up with silicone. I'm only going to put a little bit in there just to get a little layer and get a seal. And that way, if it does go under, the entire weight silicone, the more silicone that you put in, the more it's going to go underneath there if it's going to do it. So I'm just going to put it in there, make sure I got even on all sides, and it looks like it is pretty good and even. I'm just going to leave that like that and pour a little layer of silicone, let that cure up a bit, and then fill it up the rest of the way. The same thing with this one. So I'm going to get this in here centered, and hopefully I didn't mess up by putting a piece of tape or this transfer tape underneath that one. I don't know. It's always a risk when you do mold making. Sometimes you got to do it a second time or a third time. I've had to do that too. So this one looks pretty evenly all the way around. So now all we gotta do is get some silicone mixed up. So once again, I'm gonna go do that and I'll be right back. Okay, so I've got my silicone mixed up and I've already ran it through the vacuum chamber. If you don't have a vacuum chamber, you don't have to have it, or you don't have to use a vacuum chamber. But if you do, just make sure you stir it slow and then pour it from high up in a thin stream so that the bubbles will pop on their own. But I have one, so I used it. So I mixed up 5 ounces of silicone. Now, it's supposed to be 5 ounces, or you're supposed to do it by weight, equal parts by weight for silicone. But I will say that I by volume it was 5 ounces on each side, and when I weighed it, it was 5.9 ounces for both. So they're pretty much the same by volume, by weight, but the directions do say do it by weight. So do what you will with that. So now I'm just going to pour a little bit in here, a little bit around the edge, and then the rest in there. And I'll tell you why on the next step. I'm not going to fill this one all the way up. I'm just going to put a good thick layer. And that should be good for now. Then I'm going to pour some around this rim here. Make sure it's filled up all the way around. Now, by the way, like having to do with putting that transfer tape underneath the lid of this one, I will say that when you put the transfer tape underneath the lid right there, because I did that on the other jar mold that I did, when you do that and you get a real close cut to the rim, it does make for a good cut around your mold so that it looks better when you dome it. You know how with handmade molds you don't want to dome them because it has that ugly little line and you got to trim it off. That does help. And like I said, it does have that risk of getting an air bubble. But on the last one, I ended up having to do that mold 4 times because the first one I did turned out good, but I ended up putting holes in it trying to take it out of the bowl. And then one of them had the air bubble, but out of the 4 that I made, only one of them had that bubble that came up. So, I mean, like I said, there is a chance either way. Like you can get a better cut line with doing it, but I think I made it more than I thought I did. So I don't want, like I said, I don't want to fill this one all the way up. I'm just going to fill it up away Maybe like that for now. So I got a lot of extra silicone. I don't want to waste it, so I might end up having to, I thought it would take more than that. Okay. Well, we can fill up this area. I just don't want to fill up that one too much right now in the middle. So we'll go ahead and add a little bit to this and see what I got left. Not getting it down in that space real good, but it's okay. It's going to end up being filled up in the end anyway and covered there. I just don't want it to go up over the jar. And fill in my centerpiece. Okay, let that settle. Oh, and don't, if you're doing this over a silicone mat, make sure if you get it on here, clean it off real good because it will warp your mat. It won't cure to it, or at least I've never had it like cure to it where I couldn't get it off, but it will warp it. Okay, well, I'm not going to fill that one up anymore. And I still have quite a bit. Not quite a bit. I have a good amount. So I guess I'm going to go ahead and put the rest of it in here. It's not going to fill up all the way anyway. I was just going to put a little layer down and let it cure up before I filled it all the way up. Where's my spatula? Oh no. Where'd it go? Huh. Well, it just, oh, here we go. Get some bubbles coming up. It's okay though. Silicone usually will dissipate bubbles pretty easily, depending on how warm your room is and how fast it cures. As the warmer your room, the faster it's going to cure up on you. Okay, so now I need to clean that up. Now I'm just going to let that cure for a little bit, get good and firm. It doesn't have to cure completely. Well, actually, that one does. So, yeah. We'll be back on the next. Oh, I probably shouldn't do that really. I'll make a film on it if you get it too hot. So, I will be back when this is cured and we'll do the next step. Okay, so these are firmed up some now, not fully cured, but it's been a few hours, so it's pretty good and solid. So what I'm going to do now is first, I took the first, the lid to that last mold I did, the very first one that was the 0A, but it, I ended up putting holes in it. I cut it up so it didn't get wasted, and I don't have a whole lot of the silicone left, so I'm going to use that if I have to. So anyway, what I'm going to do now with this one, why I did that, is I'm going to put this jar of stones in here. And this will save on silicone, but also make it easy to demold because it's not as thick. So I'm going to try to get this in the center as much as possible. Let me see. Oh, I think that looks pretty good. So I'm going to go ahead and fill this one up. I mixed up another 5 ounces, or no, 10 ounces in volume, and I think it ended up being like 9 ounces, or yeah, total of 9 ounces. Hold on. 10 ounces by weight, 9 ounces by volume, if you're wondering anyway. I'm just going to pour this in here, and I'm going to fill it up all the way over, I don't know, maybe a eighth of an inch or fourth of, I don't know, where I have a good sturdy bottom, because this is going to make the bottom of the mold anyway. Oh, you know what? I need to turn this off real quick. Got the camera on in the living room to keep an eye on my daughter, and I think the TV was coming through. Oh, trying to get it in there without spilling it all over the bottle there. I need to get a little scraper and scrape that out. I'll get that on my mat. I'm gonna leave that. It's be easier to scrape it out in there than it would be in that one. Let me get that off my mat too. Goodness. Turn this. I have a little bit more in that bottle, so I'll probably, I don't know, have to make up some more, even if I do put those in. It's possible anyway, but I wanted to do a little layer first to see about how much I might need. Oh, let's see. Alright, so I'm going to check and see how far over the, okay, definitely need more. Okay, so that is about how deep it is over top of the rim. Now, obviously, I'm going to need these. So, I'm going to go ahead and stick these in here before I pour that in, because I know sometimes that makes bubbles when you stick these in there. afterwards. I don't normally like doing this. One, because, like, well, if they're in chunks like this, I will. But whenever you do, like, some people say, oh, I'll just touch that. Keep the offcuts of whenever you trim up your molds. But I find that if it's not like in a chunk like this, then it floats to the top of your silicone, and then it makes your bottom of your mold not level. So then you gotta either take them back out, or you have to make another layer of silicone just to cover it up. But if they're heavy enough to sink, then it's okay. Another thing, I have used chunks like this before, where it made, whenever I went to demold the thing I was molding out, it caused the mold to rip right there where one of the chunks were. That was, I think, two things. It could have been because the silicone I was using to make the mold was a 0A shore hardness, which is like one of the softest ones. And the chunks that I put in was a 15. Maybe it didn't bond correctly. I don't know. But it also was touching the bottom of the bowl, and maybe it was too close to the surface. I don't know. But this is going to be cocooned in between liquid silicone on the bottom and on the top. So it's going to be in the middle of it. So maybe it won't cause any problems like that. So anyway, let's just see what that was, or what this is going to do, how much it's going to fill it up. Okay, so at this point, I'm going to go mix up some more and fill it up the rest of the way, hopefully, without having to buy any more before I finish this. And then, oh, I gotta fill up this one too, probably. And then we'll be back once the mold is ready to come out, because I don't want this video to be so long and then have to do a two-part, because I want to be able to try to do a casting of this as well on this video. So, alright, we'll be back on demold. Alright, so I got it out with the bowl intact. I thought I was going to have to cut it on the bottom piece, but I didn't. And so you see this little silicone that went underneath of the polyurethane. It's going to take this little cuticle cutter thing that comes in the box of the 0A silicone and just trim all that off. Comes off real easy. There we go. And we'll get it off on this one. Okay, so this one is the lid. I'm just going to get this off of here. That could be cut off too. That's just where the bowl wasn't really level, and I had extra, I had it leak over to like the rim of the bowl. Hold on. It's just got suction on it. Okay, there we go. Alright, let's see. Oh, did pretty good. It didn't feel it. Oh, okay, good job. that was pretty good. I was afraid it was going to go way up in there. So now we have to get this cut off, and we want to do it as clean as possible so that when we go to fill the mold with resin, oh, it's coming off pretty easily on its own. It will have a good like line where you dome it, you know. So I'm gonna try to be very, very careful not to cut anything off that shouldn't be cut off. Hopefully. Oh, I probably should have my glasses on so I can see. Even though they're dirty. Dang it. Oh well. There we go. Don't look too bad from what I can tell now. Alright, let's see if we can get this one off. Oh, goodness. I'm telling you, demolding your item is very difficult. Sometimes worse than others, I guess. See if I can get something inside there. Just to break that suction. Oh, man. This jar, the lid, has not been this bad. Oh, come on. As this bottom piece. Oh, goodness. Uh-oh. What's it gonna look like? Okay. I kind of knew that was gonna happen. Oh, yeah, I put that tape in there, didn't I? Huh. I wonder. Oh, I don't know. Okay. How does this has to come off, I guess. I wanted it to still have that curved bottom. So I'm kind of concerned on how to pull this up because I want the bottom to have that, you know, where it curved under still. So I kind of got to figure out the best way to, like, where I should cut this extra. Okay. Okay, so, well, it's already ripped right there. So it has to go there. I don't know that the bottom of this one is going to be too pretty. But I don't know what else. Huh. Well, how should I do this? Wish somebody was here to help. Okay. I can't. Alright, well, the bottom's just not going to be very pretty. But how... Oh, I'm going to have to get some scissors. Alright, so next step is to get it out. Let me go let the dog out. I'll be right back. Okay, so best way to do this. I don't want to, I'm going to do my best not to get my fingerprints all over this mold. Just because I know how this silicone tends to be so soft that even when you wear gloves or whatever, it can mark it. But that's why I left it in there for so long, because I did notice on a mold that I made with the same silicone quite a long time ago. No, it was the gift box mold that I did. After it sat there for like a week, I went and messed with it, and the fingerprints weren't so bad. So yeah, that's what it was. That's why I left this in there for, let's see, I made it last weekend. It's Thursday. I don't know. Okay. See how easily it demolds? Okay. There we go. Now, hopefully I didn't mark it. I do see a bubble. Probably came up where the air underneath the heat from the silicone getting up underneath here, and then air coming up. So that's one bubble in the silicone. This is polyurethane that splattered. I can get that off onto the bowl when I poured the polyurethane. I see one little fingerprint there. I touched it when I flipped it over. Or it was from here, from the mold, when I didn't get all my fingerprints off of it. I scrubbed it really good, though, so I don't know. Since that part's already been touched, I'm going to use that little area. Or since it already has a mark in it. Oh, I'm going to have to grip it, aren't I? Okay, there we go. There we go. Now let's try to flip it back. Look at there. Yay. Done and done. Looks pretty good. There's the jar. Okay, now the other one. I don't know how easy this other one's going to come out, because the silicone is quite thicker where the knob is. So let's loosen it all the way around first. Always make sure you have a paper towel if you have a silicone mat that you're working on, so it doesn't mess up your silicone mat. Which I need a bigger one, honestly. It's not enough room, but okay. Let's see. Oh, look. It might come out pretty easy. Looky there. Easy peasy. Oh, that was so much more simpler than I thought it was going to be. Wow. Look how big that mold is, though. That's a lot of silicone. Cool. Awesome. I think this is going to be a good mold. I really do. Do you want to try it on this video? Or is it going to be too long? I don't even know how long this is. I haven't gone back and looked. But what I could do, instead of, well, do you care how long in the video is? I don't know. Some people say not to make real long videos. I have a hard time not. And some people like long videos. I like them. I don't know. Okay, so I don't know. Y'all gonna have to let me know what you all prefer. But I think it's probably the best idea to go at least show you what the mold looks like, right? So let me go figure out what I'm going to do. I'll get some resin mixed up, and yeah, we'll get it poured. All right, so I went on ahead and poured the mold, And I used my Eye Candy Tiffy Blue pigment paste. It took 10 ounces, and then I had a little bit extra, which I just poured in this little rose flower mold that I had. The mold was already dusted with some sort of interference powder, I think, that I was testing out. Oh, that's so pretty. Isn't that pretty? Oh, wow. Which powder was that? I think it was it was either the W Aurora by Saya, or it might have been the Mateo Emerald Cat. I'm not sure. I don't remember now. Sorry. Okay, and so there's that. I'll put that up. Okay, which one do we want to do first? Let's go ahead and do the lid. Got my gloves on so I don't put fingerprints on the mold. Okay. And it just pops off real easily. Okay. Put that to the side. Let's get it both out, and then we'll look at it together. Alright, so I'm just going to peel this off. Get it all loosened up all the way around. And look how easily that comes off. Very, very easy. And you can stick your hand in there to get it out because you got that little hole. So easy. So very, very easy. That's why I put that hole in the middle. Okay. So let's look. Let's go ahead and just do it. So look how pretty. I love that color. That's really pretty. A little mark in the top there, or in the bottom of the bowl. Not sure what that's from. Let's check and see. I don't know. I don't see anything. And here's the lid. I put a little gold powder in it, which is a Sigwang Golden. It's a very pretty mica powder and very shimmery. So isn't that cute? Just like that. Oh, it's adorable. Oh, I love it. Isn't that pretty? Aw, I like this. That is really pretty. I don't know, what do you think? Do you like it? I do. So, I do want to say one thing. Like I said, when I demolded the master, I did notice some fingerprints on the inside of this mold from where I demolded it. And I did this one other time, and it did come out with fingerprints on it a little bit. But the next morning, I come in to check it out, and the fingerprints were not there anymore. So that's why I wanted to try it again. So the only thing I can think of on that is, I kind of learned maybe that even though I left the master in the actual mold for several days, so it was cured properly, maybe even after you demold, you need to maybe let it air for 24 hours. I don't know. But it seems to be okay now. I do see one little mark right there. but that could have been on the jar or something. I don't know. But it's not nearly like it was. And even now when I go to touch it, it's not making those marks either like it was before. So, learn something new every day about this silicone. I've never had that happen with the Tea Expert, which is what I normally use, but this is like the extra soft silicone. And it's a different, it's Let's Resin. So maybe there's a difference. I don't know. I'm not real sure. But anyway, so there is the mold. Here is the casting we got out of it. So I will ask if you found this video helpful or if you just found it entertaining. I don't know. I would ask that you give me a thumbs up and let me know what you think about it, and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Alright guys, well thanks so much for watching, and I will see you next time. Bye!